So you're about to step into your first HEMA sparring match with a longsword. But let me be honest with you, no matter how many drills you've done, the sparring will always shock you, and that's totally okay. But that's the whole point of it, because that's where you really start to grow. Point number one is to learn from every hit. The fastest way to improve is to always try to ask yourself, how and why did you get hit in the first place? Or at least really try to think about it in the midst of the battle or just after getting hit. But there are some tips that beginners often miss out on. Most of the time you get hit not because your guard was bad, but I'll get to that, but most often than not, it's all about your footwork and about you being stiff or frozen, being static in one place. So you instinctively focus on improving your sword movement, but not your body, not your footwork. So you need to ingrain into your mind that the footwork is the vehicle to deliver your attack to opponent. So every strike you do should move with your feet to threaten your opponent more, to decrease the distance to your enemy and commit to your attack. And the same goes for the defense. If you feel that your opponent is threatening too much and you see that he attacks you with a direct attack, you need to always remember to go backwards, to increase the distance to your opponent, to give yourself more time to execute a very good cover from his attack, and maybe if you're quick enough, even a riposte. So basically, if you're static, you will be an easy target because your opponent will have the control over the fight and the room to win against you. If you think that you can win with just moving only your sword, then you'll be mistaken. So, like I said many times, sword fighting consists of footwork, and the footwork is at least 50% of sword fighting overall. So every attack, every defensive move is made with footwork as well. So please, when you're sparring, don't focus only on the sword, because realistically, the sword isn't the whole problem. You need to move, you need to be more alive, not frozen up in one place and slowly moving to your opponent and maybe trying to surprise him by your attack. But no, he will clearly see when you'll actually commit to your attack, when you most of the time will stay at just one specific place. He'll see when you'll actually speed up your moves to commit to your attack. That's a really easy read, and the whole truth being stiff, being static while sparring, you'll go through this for at least a few weeks. So don't quit after the first messy session, because that's the rough part, as it should be. It's supposed to feel rough, and that's how you level up. So point number 2 is my first sparring reality check. When I started my historical European martial arts journey, I didn't start it with metal, with a full HEMA equipment. No, I started it with just a simple go now padded longsword and with a fencing mask. And your first sparring matches will be made with these padded longswords. So you don't feel threatened with just holding a real metal object in your hands. These are soft swords made to cut or slash your opponent safely. Of course, don't try to like slap him with full force, but be direct with your attack. And it doesn't hurt, even on a bare skin. I mean, I feel the heat, but it doesn't hurt me. And the mask is very important for even these kind of swords, because we don't want to feel unsafe when we're sparring, and we want to have this mindset that we can actually attack our opponent's head and be attacked into the head as well without any injuries. Try to find a fencing mask that will actually fit your face and head size, so it doesn't wobble around when you move it. But of course, at the beginning you'll feel like it's uncomfortable for you. But I'll be honest with you, it's very common for all people to feel unsure in their masks. Like when you put on the fencing mask for the first time, I'm speaking from my experience, I felt that I can't see what's going on around me. I couldn't focus on my opponent because of the mesh that was sticking right next to my eyes. All I saw was this mesh inside of the mask. But that's totally okay, because after a few sessions, my eyes recalibrated to see the opponent and to don't mind the mesh that's there to protect your eyes and your face. But coming back to my first experiences with sparring, I felt the adrenaline dump. I felt that my legs were stiff. I was too passive in my sparring, and I was forgetting all the solo drills that I did. I couldn't focus, and that was totally okay, because it's the chaos of fighting. That's what it's all about. My realization about it was that no solo drilling could prepare me for the sparring. My advice for you is to be humble and to laugh through the all chaos of fighting, and most of all enjoy it, because even in this whole mess you will learn something. And that's why I created my community called From Gamer to Swordsman. Sparring teaches you more in 3 minutes than 30 hours of gaming. So check out the link in the description where you could find my Longsword for Beginners guide and a community of guys who are on the same path. So check out the link in the description. In this community I help guys to push through it all and make them not quit after the first messy weeks of sparring, so you don't burn out or quit. Check out the link in the description. Point number 3, don't freeze. You need to commit. The number 1 mistake that all beginners do when they're sparring for the first time is that they're too passive. They don't commit to their attacks to threaten their opponent with a sword, even without any technique. They stay in one place for most of the sparring, and that gives to the other opponent the whole room, the whole control over the fight. So even if your attacks are unrefined and you don't know with which attacks actually defeat your opponent, so go through his opposition, just try to at least. Because if you don't, if you get too passive and you'll just be on the defensive, you'll just naturally try to react to your opponent's attacks, then he will have the control over the whole fight. You should at least try to be more aggressive with your actions. You might think that you're being safe when you're more passive, so when you're more defensive, but actually you're giving room for your opponent to deceive you with his own attacks to well, hit you. If you don't commit, you'll get stuck reacting, and that usually ends up in you getting hit. And even if they know how to counter each of your attack, you still have to pressure them, you still have to threaten them with your sword. You need to make them respect you more in a fight, I mean. And that's how you start to fight. Point number 4 is the gear. So what you'll actually have to wear when you spar. As I told, you will be sparring at the beginning with these padded longswords. And of course, you'll have a protective mask on you. That's generally all that you need at the beginning. But I've heard that some HEMA clubs in America have these weird rules about wearing extra protective gear even with these padded longswords, which is a bit weird for me, but I'll just show you what you'll need. An extra to the fencing mask and maybe to some work slash protective gloves on your hands, you'll probably need a gorget, which is the protective part for your neck. Looks something like this. And the next thing is the plastic plastron. It's for your, and it protects your chest, as you can see. It's more of a protection against incidental thrusts of these padded longswords. But when you'll fight with these padded longswords, you and your opponent can't do thrusts because these swords are not made for safe thrusting. They're only made for cutting. So just getting hit with a cut motion. And that's all. No thrusting. Please remember about it. So of course, these things that you can see on me right now, that is all you need for safe sparring. And of course, an extra gloves for just a bit of more protection of your hands and fingers. But you can also see that I usually wear my HEMA clothes for the metal in these videos, just like my HEMA pants and my HEMA rash guard. But you don't need these things. All you need is just a basic t-shirt and sweatpants. And that's all. And yes, I forgot about one thing to mention, is a suspensorium. So the plastic thing with a strap that you'll put under your sweatpants, which is made to protect your balls, so your crotch. That's especially important for men. So you need to wear it, and to be honest, just get used to it, because it may save your health. That's basically it. Point number 5. What to actually focus on when you're sparring. Don't try to do some fancy moves. You'll get hit pretty easily. You have to remember about the basics. So the footwork and 2 up to 4 basic attacks, a basic guard, and that's pretty much all. Getting specific with it, about your attacks, all you need is to know how to make a lunge with a cut, with a downward cut to your opponent's mask, of course with a cut, not with a thrust. The second thing is the cut, downward cut to your opponent's left arm from the other side, so not from your main side like to the opponent's mask, but from the other side. The third one is one of my favorites, is just the undercut to your opponent's hands with the false edge of the blade, And the last and funny in some way cut to the leg from your main side, which you can also do one-handed with your non-dominant left hand, by which you add a bit of extra distance, a bit of extra reach with your attack, with this whip kind of motion. But this leaves you exposed, so always remember about footwork also. The footwork will be the vehicle for each of these 4 attacks. And the defense, which is the bread and butter of parrying your opponent, is a crown guard, named by Fiore. This is where you make a cover from your opponent's blade, so you catch it, like a bit of intercept it with your own blade. So the defense is actually not passive, it's active. You have to intercept your opponent's blade by yours, but not with the weak part of your blade from the middle to the end, but from the middle to your crossguard. So you have more power and structure behind your parry. So it just doesn't go through it when your opponent tries to hit you. But of course, remember to use this guard when applicable, because your opponent may try to hit your head, so you naturally try to cover yourself with your blade a bit higher. But if your opponent tries to hit your hand from the same side, then you have to keep your hands closer to yourself and a bit lower your cover, so your blade near, like a bit lower. And that's the basic defense. And of course, we can't forget about the footwork to your defense. Most beginners forget that to make a proper defense, you need to increase the distance to your opponent when he tries to attack you. So when he commits to an attack. Because if you'll stay too close or you will stay in one place, the opponent will be a bit quicker with his sword movements than you. But if you keep the same distance to your opponent when he attacks you, so when you take a fencing step back or a passing step, you'll parry your attack more confidently, or even void the whole attack entirely. Because let's be honest, your opponent's attack doesn't need to always end with you parrying him. You can void his attack if you just maintain the proper distance. So remember about the footwork, about committing to your attacks and to parrying with a step back as well, because that footwork is the foundation of each action. And the last thing you can focus on is breathe. Take a deep breath with me. You need to breathe when you're fighting. You'll feel more relaxed, you'll feel more confident when you just remember about breathing. When you get hit, take a deep breath. Think about how did you get hit in the first place? What did you do wrong? Come back to your starting place, do a salute, and repeat the whole process. I'll be honest, breathing keeps you more aware, it keeps you more relaxed, which gives you more brain points to actually see and think about the sparring. And the last thing that you should remember is learning, because sparring isn't tied to some scoreboard. it's a laboratory for you to test yourself and see where you may be lacking or what you're good at. Point number 6 is transformation through sparring. Your first few weeks of sparring sessions will feel messy. You will get hit lots of times, and that's totally normal because you will learn from your mistakes. So please don't quit after the first messy session of sparring. And after a few sparring sessions, you will start to notice patterns. How did you get hit and why? What worked better for you this time and what you're improving right now? Over time, your reactions will sharpen and you will start to finally see more things going on in this chaos of sword fighting. After some time, your body and mind will relax more when you'll be fighting. And that leads to you being more confident with your actions, with your compound movements, and so on. It becomes somewhat addictive because you feel more alive when you're fighting, because it's tied up to our psychology, right? And someday you might actually start to feel that you're not a beginner anymore, that you have more skill and that you feel like a real swordsman. So in other words, you don't only know about sword fighting, but you're actually doing it yourself. And if you're feeling a bit nervous before your first sparring match, then good. That means that you're stepping into reality, that you're starting to be more aware. So be humble about it and enjoy it. Take the hits to your ego and to your mask. And always remember to come back to the sessions week after week. That's how you will improve your sword fighting. And I wish you the best. And if you want more specific training tips, my recommendations and so on, then check out the link in the description or the first pinned comment, which is my link to my community called From Gamer to Swordsman, where you will find my Longsword Beginner's Guide, which has hours upon hours of my knowledge and experience tied up in this basic formula where you can copy my movesets and train with me. I designed their specific solo drills that you can do yourself, and also drills where I teach you some footwork. Plus, it's not just drills, it's a system for you starting your sparrings. And also it's a community of guys who are on the same path, where they share their feedback, their own knowledge and their own beginner mistakes and experiences and so on. So yeah, check out the link in the description to find more. And remember, always take the initiative.